I'm Dr. Natalie Beauchamp, and this is What the Heck, the podcast that dives into what the heck is going on in the world of health and well-being, explores how to optimize your mindset and your lifestyle, and shares practical tools so that you can achieve your fullest potential. Join me and a special guest each week as we discuss everything from biohacking to diet personalization to cutting-edge detox methods to setting and staying accountable to your goals. Ready to find out what the heck you can do to stay healthy, sharp, and at the top of your game? Let's get started. Welcome to this week's edition of What the Heck podcast. This is Dr. Natalie Beauchamp. I'm interviewing guests every week, and we're discussing anything in the field of health. And this week, my guest is a really good friend of mine, Michelle Horne. And Michelle is an image consultant. And you may be wondering, why would I interview an image consultant when we're talking about health? And believe me, after we're done with our show, I think you'll understand why it is so important, because our mental and well-being is as important as our physical well-being. And when we feel good in our own skin, we feel good about ourselves, we're confident. So this is what we're going to discuss today. So welcome to the What the Heck podcast, Michelle. Nice to have you on.
Oh, thanks, Natalie. Dr. Natalie, I'm so excited to be here.
Great. So Michelle, tell us a little bit more, because you and I have known each other for many years, and I believe you started your practice at the same time as I did. So it's been many years, but tell us a little bit more about you and, how you got in the field. And so that will be the first question. And after that, tell us, what does an image consultant do as well? So first, let's have you tell us a little bit more about you.
So I was working in a counseling environment, and my boss at the time was a psychotherapist. And I made a comment to her about her skirt and that she had wonderful legs, and this is, we've spoken about this publicly, so I know that.
Tell us a little bit more about you.
So I said to her, this is according to her. You're not going to have the best legs forever, so you might as well take advantage of wearing the skirts while you can. That's her perception of how I said what I said. So we laughed about it. Fast forward, maybe about a month later, she said, okay, Horne, come into my office. And she had studied with an image consultant in the 80s because she was fascinated with, as a psychotherapist, the congruency between doing personal inner work and then have that be visible on the outside. Okay, so have that extension be visible. Mm-hmm. I never knew that the profession existed. I wanted to study psychology. My background is human resources, but I was really, really excited about human behavior and watching people and seeing if when I saw them, then when they talked, if that was congruent. Not knowing that as an image consultant, we train in appearance, behavior, and communication. And now digital presence, so ABCD. So again, pulling me into her office, she gave me all the materials that she had been given to her when she studied with this image consultant. And this is like 85, okay? So long
It's a while back, yeah.
She was ahead of her time. And she went to New York City to study with this woman, and this woman wrote a couple of books. So it was I'm sure you can appreciate this. When I read her book, the first page, I literally I got so excited. I had never been excited about anything I ever read. And I just thought, okay, I got to figure out how I can do this and incorporate it into my life.
And you did.
And I did.
And it's been over, 23 years, right?
I started unofficially in 95.
Okay.
And then officially, it'll be 20 years this year, actually, that I did my training.
Wow. So, Michelle, first of all, what and who should use an image consultant? Walk us through, your process, because I know when I started working with you, I didn't know what to expect. That was 8-9 years ago. I knew that, when I did TV, if I didn't wear the right colors, I didn't look really good. And, so I'm like, oh, okay. And you'll remember I had a lot of black suits and white shirt, didn't I? Right? So I have none now, thanks to you. But I'm like, okay, well, I didn't know what to expect, so she's going to help me with my wardrobe. But I was shocked with all the, and, a lot of people listening have been to their doctors and, tests are done. And you ended up doing a whole bunch of evaluations on me, which some of them were quite detailed to really grasp my personality. So just take a few minutes and walk us through what a client should expect when they start working with an image consultant.
So, usually there's a pain point that comes with the call or the email. They're struggling with something. And that's actually what I love to invite. I'm actually always putting that out there. Like, okay, so when that pain point or when you hit that sort of point threshold where you're like, I don't feel good, I got to show up as a leader and I don't know what to do. We all like, I'm always inviting that into my life. So I can appreciate when clients are feeling the same. And essentially, yeah, I have a 5-page intake that clients will complete. I have I'm trained in, and one of the only Canadian trainers, me and another colleague, in a system called Universal Style. So that's an Enneagram-based program, and that's the piece that you're talking about, the assessment that digs into someone's clothing personality. The thing about a clothing personality, which is so critical, is understanding, like, one of the first things you said to me was, I don't like frilly.
Yes, I remember. I still don't.
And right. And so anything with, like, extra, stuff either in the fabric or in the pattern or in the drape. So that is something that your body could handle physically, aesthetically, right? I mean, you have, as me and another colleague that works with you call you Barbie, perfect body. You're so easy to dress, right? From my perspective.
Yeah, no, right? Because one of the reasons I consulted with you is I was getting so frustrated going shopping and finding nothing. So yeah, so I guess I had a pain point now that I think about it. So so people consult with you because they have a pain point, and then you work, from there, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, and I got to figure out, like, I never care about what people do professionally. I always say that. The part about dressing a leader and influencer is actually their mindset. You have to believe you are that leader first. The clothing, the appearance side is an extension of who we are as leaders and how we want to communicate that to people that we engage with, and preparing for that. That's the really, really important part. So, the night before a big meeting is not the time to dig through your closet and go, oh, I hope I have something here that's going to work.
And I think we've all done that.
Totally.
All done that. Yeah.
Yes. And I say that without judgment, more so to maybe, instigate somebody to go, yeah, you know what? I don't feel like I'm prepared. I don't feel like I'm showing up. So taking somebody through those two parts of the process. Color is another one that's really, really critical. You mentioned that, because when you show up, especially for someone in your industry, looking healthy is pretty important. How people then see you and know that you're taking care of yourself the way you do, because you talk the talk, but you walk the walk, and consistent. You're consistent as the day is long. So if you show up in black, you will look dead.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter all the health stuff you do, you'll look sort of just, it depends on who you're going to engage with, right? And also your physical presence as a leader. You're tall, your physical stature has automatic presence. Your coloring, you have high contrast. So you have a lot going for you that you just put a little bit of color on in your colors, and like, whoa, it looks like you didn't do anything.
And I think if you don't mind me, Michelle, we're talking about our presence and leadership, but this could be for the stay-at-home mom that still needs to go out in the world and feel good about herself. So, I don't want people listening to say, well, if I'm not in high position and a CEO of a company, that I can do that. And it's true. And I think everybody can relate to, putting something on that you feel good about and getting out of the house and just say, I'm looking sharp, feeling sharp. And it doesn't have to be a suit. Like, it can be whatever piece of clothing that makes you feel. And before I met you, I've never paid attention to material and fabrics, and I'm like, whatever. But there's a lot now. I'm a lot more in tune with that. So the point of today is discovering how people can benefit from an image consultant. But one question that I always ask all my guests, because it is the What the Hack podcast, what in your industry, we don't have to talk about it for too long, but kind of a misconception that makes you go, I wish it was different.
I think for me, I'm going to look at my notes because I made, integrity is huge for me. So what I mean by that is the training that and the time that we spend to educate ourselves and continually educate ourselves. It's we have designations in our profession and in our industry. When you belong to our professional association, there's only one that exists for image consultants. So I joined 20 years ago, and the way I can stay in the professional association is if I keep doing education and training.
So I don't think a lot of people know that, which, it's probably the frustration of a lot of different professions that might have, similar professions, but that are not as regulated. So Michelle, let's talk about some hacks that people can do, right after we're done with our podcast to feel better about themselves, to, get their brain thinking in the sense that is your wardrobe a reflection of you? Is how you're preparing a reflection of you? Even if it's just the goal of today is just to bring awareness and have people think, and maybe, you're not going to do something right away, but, I want to plant a seed. So what would be the first hack that people can do?
Make yourself a priority.
Huge, right?
Yes. And, as a woman and as a mom and as a wife and as a business owner, I get it. I like it. It is such a conscious choice to always be doing that. So it's not an easy one. That's why I put it as number one, because it's a reminder for me too. Pay attention to your mindset. What is it that your inner dialogue, and how do you speak about yourself? Because that will come out in how I meet you. And I love what you said. Thank you for reminding me. This is, when I work with people, I don't just work with people who need to dress professionally for an office. I work with a huge range of people and huge age ranges of people too. Mm-hmm. I just met a 21-year-old student on Monday who wanted to know what her colors were because she was frustrated with buying. She didn't want to spend her hard-earned money to pay for the wrong colors. She goes, I tried to self-diagnose on the internet, but I couldn't do it.
Dr. Google, right?
Yeah. And I said, I admire you for taking this step. This is huge for you. So anyway, it was really, really fun.
So hack number one, make yourself a priority. Hack number two, I think, I'll insert one if you don't mind the order, but colors is huge, right? And we talked about that. And it's frustrating, believe me, because, sometimes you go shopping or certain type, seasons or years, your colors won't be as prominent. And that sometimes I don't always wear my colors, especially when I work out. It's just like, okay, I really don't care. I'm in my basement, leave me alone kind of thing. But for the stuff that's really important, and I so agree with you that, I think we have a saying as doctors that we should be dressed better than our best dressed patients. And, yes, for me, I have a physical job. I want to be comfortable, but I think there's a way that I can look, professional and yet still be comfortable. So hack number two is hire a stylist to get your colors done. And then this way you won't end up buying stuff that you're not gonna, wear. So what would be hack number three, Michelle?
So hack number three would be, I think, based on what we're talking about, because I wrote other things, but I would say look through your closet. And because we're coming into a season that, is perfect for this anyway, and, and this is something I'm going to be, I'm sort of already starting to dig in with regular clients. What do you have in there that you absolutely love? Separate them. What do you have in there that you absolutely would use the word, which I don't use very often, hate?
Okay.
Because that is so important. to not have things that when you first walk into your closet, that you're intonated by those things that you say, I hate how I feel in this.
Yeah.
Yet it's taking up space. You know, it's
physically and mentally, right?
Oh, and yeah, like I always say, you've heard me say this is valuable real estate in this closet. Like it, you know, honoring what, so hack number 4 would be honoring who you are by making you a priority to make sure that what you see and feel and experience are you and what you love and what you feel good in.
So, I mean, I think it's huge, and we're all guilty of that. Either our closets are too small, then we've got to rotate seasons, and But how many of us keep clothes that we haven't worn in 2 years? And I try to go through this, but it's just for some reason we stay attached to certain things even though we don't wear them. It's kind of weird. But it's clutter in our closet is clutter in our mind, and I think that's why like you said, it's taking real estate not just in the closet but in our mind. So how often would you suggest people do this? Every season?
Every season. The reason why every season is so key is that depending on, and I had this conversation with a client yesterday, depending on, and this probably would be the maybe connected to the last hack is, but they're all sort of interconnected, because when you clear and when you go through seasonally, you then, because what I want to do is I want to wake you up. Okay. I want to wake you up to go, what is it that I'm doing now? Or how do I feel now? What do my clothes need to be able to do for me so I feel like I can move through the world easily? You touched on it by saying comfort. That's important to you. Mine would be a different language based on my clothing personality. So understanding what your own style statement language is so important. And if you're going through something difficult in your life and you have clothing that's a part of your clothing personality but not a full expression, it won't actually make you feel like you have the right items and be able to confidently do what you need to do. And it's one of those things where clients, kind of new people, say, really? That can do that? Until you start expressing yourself in what's most like yourself, you then see the connection or the disconnect, or I want you to feel the connection and the disconnect.
And I think it's important to talk about that connection. So of course nobody can dress up very nicely and not be a nice person or a good person and happy in their, who they are, and then reflect that. So I just want to make sure people don't think we're being superficial. It's supporting and strengthening those things. And talking about that, I guess we just have a few more minutes. Can you think, Michelle, of, an example of a client you've worked with that, after you were done, thanked you for what you've done and how much of an impact? And I know you've shared a few, without mentioning names, obviously, but shared a few stories of how some people's lives, careers, or sometimes relationship have been changed. So I know I'm putting you a bit on the spot, but I'm sure you can think of one that you could share, right?
There's a woman recently I met last spring, and the first time she had clothing that was made for her, she looked at me, she hugged me and said, "You are like medicine to me." And I kind of was like, I just about fell over.
Yeah. So it can be that powerful. Like it's so cool.
And so
so we're almost out of town, Michelle. And first of all, actually, I ask all my guests every time that they're on a show, what is your favorite quote? And it doesn't have to be, a quote that has anything to do with your line of work, but what quote do you read and you go, oh, this always talks to me? So what is yours?
When I did my color training back in April of 1999, I went to the washroom in my color trainer's space, and on the wall was this quote. Okay, it was longer. I won't read the whole thing, but I had never seen anybody write on a wall. She had a pen in the bathroom, and anything that you wanted to share, you could just write it.
Wow.
In silver pen, which was super. She's super creative, and it's Nelson Mandela's inaugural speech that Marianne Williamson wrote, and it's called Our Deepest Fear. And so what I did was, it was so impactful for me at the time that I printed it, framed it, and I look at it, it's on my desk to my left. And one of the first words that hit me was, our deepest fear is that we are inadequate. And for me at the time, I felt inadequate because I was starting a whole new career and I had no idea if I was going to make it or what it meant and how my life would change. And, I didn't see myself as an entrepreneur. So it hit me, right here. And I read it when I need it, or
it's really powerful.
Yeah. So it's a long
yeah, it is a long one. It's funny, Michelle, because I hadn't read that quote in years, and it came on. I read it yesterday. Isn't that kind of the synchronicity is weird? So that's all the time we have, Michelle. And before I say goodbye to you, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for enlightening us. And how can people find more about you? I think it's putting yourself. No, I'm going to let you say it because I don't want to mix up your site.
My company is called Putting It Together, and my web URL is puttingittogether.ca.
Perfect. So easy enough. So if anyone wants to work with you, Michelle is in Ottawa, Canada, but she does a lot of online consultation. You'll just love her. She just looks not just as you're outside, but that you're inside. And I think it's a gift that all of us should give ourselves. So if you would like, this is a copy of my book that is coming out actually a little bit over a month. It's available on Amazon. And that's where the inspiration for this What the Hack podcast was all about. It's Hack Your Health Habit. And if you would like to have the first section of the book, you can text the word hack at the phone number 716-203-1356, and you'll get the first section and the table of content. They'll give you a really good idea of what is in the book. So thank you so much, Michelle. And for our listener, next week, I will be talking with Dr. Christy Lewis, who's a naturopathic doctor, and she's focused a lot of her practice on preventing or taking care of burnout. So hopefully you can tune in, and I will see you next week. I'm Dr. Natalie Beauchamp, and this is What the Hack, the podcast that dives into what the heck is going on in the world of health and well-being, explores how to optimize your mindset and your lifestyle, and shares practical tools so that you can achieve your fullest potential. Join me and a special guest each week as we discuss everything from biohacking to diet personalization to cutting-edge detox methods to setting and staying accountable to your goals. Ready to find out what the hack you can do to stay healthy, sharp, and at the top of your game? Let's get started. This has been a Wellness on the Go production.